For staying with us here on the Joy News channel. We'll cross you over now to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. The chairperson of the commission, Jean Mensa, addressing the press now. We can listen in.
We'd like to thank all of you and to welcome you to this edition of the Let the Citizen Know. We thank God for making it possible to meet under this platform to brief the citizenry about the ongoing voters registration exercise for 2023. Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution confers on every Ghanaian who is 18 years and above and of sound mind the right to register to vote. Similarly, Article 45 of the Constitution clothes the Electoral Commission with a mandate and responsibility of compiling the register of voters at such periods as may be determined by law. It is in the exercise of this mandate, therefore, that we commenced the 2023 voters registration exercise on Tuesday, the 12th of September 2023. I'm happy to note that in spite of a few hiccups experienced in the first 2 days, the exercise is proceeding well to the glory of God. As you may know, we experienced in the first 2 days temporary breaks in the registration exercise, due mainly to a number of issues ranging from disruptions to our internet supply, to power outages, rainfall, and in a few instances, faulty kits. As a commission, we quickly moved to resolve these issues to ensure an unhindered, smooth, and seamless process. I'm happy to note that the registration exercise is proceeding well. A key policy established to guide this registration exercise was the use of the online method of registration. By this, I mean that the system is connected directly to the database. As such, right from the point of registration, it is possible to detect whether or not a person had previously registered. Once the applicant places his or her fingers on the fingerprint scanner, the system is able to establish whether that person already exists in the database or not. One other advantage of the online system is that a person's details are immediately captured in the database in the event where the applicant has not previously registered. This is different from the offline, in that the offline registration, one is not able to immediately detect if a person is already in the database. It is offline, and it is not connected to the server or the database. The registration details of applicants are captured onto a pen drive and exported at the end of the day to the database. It is after the export that the server, through a process called deduplication, identifies individuals who have multiple registrations. In summary, the system flags them out. Ladies and gentlemen, from the above explanation, it is obvious that the online method of registration is more beneficial than the offline method. The online mode, however, requires consistent, uninterrupted internet supply. Recognizing this, we worked closely with our partners, the MTN, to put in place structures to make this feasible. In almost all our district offices, we run 2 platforms to provide internet service: the leased lines as well as turbonets. The plan was that when the leased lines failed, service from the turbonet would immediately kick in. In spite of these arrangements, however, we still experienced interruptions to internet connectivity over the first 2 days. This led us to revise our policy to allow for the use of both online and offline methods of registration. I'm happy to note that since the revision of this policy, the process of registration has been seamless and unhindered. And I give you an example. On day 1, that is Tuesday, the 12th of September 2023, relying solely on the online mode of registration, we captured just 12,467 registrants throughout the country. However, with a swift policy change, which now allows the use of both online and offline methods of registration, we have seen an increase in the numbers of registered voters. So on Saturday the 16th and Sunday the 17th of September 2023, we recorded a turnout of 42,266 and 42,776 respectively. We are hopeful that with the use of both methods, we would witness a seamless, unhindered registration exercise throughout the country. Another issue that we experienced in the first few days was that of large crowds and long queues at the registration centers. Again, we went back to the drawing board to identify these centers. We immediately increased the number of registration stations from 2 to 3, and in some cases 4. Faulty kits were also swiftly replaced with spares that were available in the region. And so, for instance, in the Tamale Metro office, we experienced issues with the kits sent there, resulting in a registration figure of 4 voters only on day 1. We quickly stepped in and replaced the faulty kits, and the registration is going on there seamlessly. Additionally, to do with the long queues in the Tamale metropolis, we have increased their registration stations from 2 to 4. And I'm happy to note that on Saturday, they recorded a high of 269 registrations and 410 on Sunday, the 17th of September. I share these examples to demonstrate that as a commission, we are on the ground and working around the clock to ensure that every eligible voter who is eligible to register or who is desirous to register as a voter does so with ease. We have heard of allegations from various quarters that the commission is disenfranchising eligible voters. This is false. It is not in our interest as a commission to disenfranchise any eligible voter. In fact, we take pride in the fact that we have the second highest number of registered voters in the whole of Africa, with the exception of Cape Verde, which has a national population of just about 600,000 and a voting population of 55.33%. Per the 2021 census figures, Ghana boasts of a register that captures 55% of the national population. That is 17,027,000 persons out of a national population of 31 million. As a commission, we pride ourselves that our voter registration population meets international best practice for the registration of voters. Ladies and gentlemen, we are well aware that the Commission's policy to use its 268 district offices as registration centers has attracted criticism from some sections of the society. As you may be aware, the Commission conducted a full-blown registration exercise in some 33,000 plus polling stations throughout the country in 2020. It is important to note that the current exercise is an update of the register. It is to allow persons who have attained the age of 18 years and above since 2020, and others who had not previously registered, the opportunity to register to vote. It is not a full-blown registration. It is important to note that this will not be the only registration exercise before the 2024 election. In line with our plans to promote an inclusive participatory registration process, we plan to institute continuous registration in all our district offices nationwide in 2020 for a considerable length of time. In addition to that, we will identify difficult to access areas and undertake a mop-up registration of voters in those areas. Of course, we will rely on data from the Ghana Statistical Service and our own database to determine areas where the registration figures are low as a result of inaccessibility to our district offices. And I'd like to repeat this, that this is not the only registration exercise prior to the elections in 2024. In line with our plan to promote an inclusive participatory registration process, we plan to institute registration in all our offices nationwide in 2024 for a considerable length of time. In addition to that, we will identify difficult to access areas and undertake a mop-up registration of voters in those areas. We wish to assure the good people of Ghana that we have their best interests at heart. We do not, and I repeat, we do not intend to disenfranchise eligible voters. It is in our interest to register them all. However, our present circumstances makes it impossible to conduct registration on electoral area basis. As you are all aware, the Commission prepared a draft CI for continuous registration in all district offices nationwide. This initiative started last year, and the registration we were envisaging under the draft CI was for a sustained long-term basis. Indeed, had the CI passed, we would have had some 6 months this year to register voters at any time of their choice. And I like to repeat it, that had the CI passed, we would have had some 6 months to register voters at any time of their choice in our district offices throughout the country. In this regard, ladies and gentlemen, our 2023 budget and work plan were prepared along those lines. Our 2023 work plan and budget was based on a continuous registration of voters in our district offices nationwide. We did not factor electoral area registration in our 2023 work plan and budget. Hence, our adoption of this method in line with our budget and our work plan, as well as our long-term plan and vision. You are all aware that our budget and work plan is approved by Parliament. We discuss our budget and work plan and we are mandated by law to discuss our budget and work plan with the Special Budget Committee of Parliament before its approval. So our budget and the work plan we are operating currently is well known to Parliament. As mentioned, our plan for 2024 is to undertake a mop-up exercise in the difficult to access areas after our continuous registration exercise in all our district offices throughout the country. As such, those who are unable to register in this ongoing exercise will have the opportunity to do so next year. As we noted in our previous engagement, the Statistical Service projects that 450,000 persons turn 18 years every year. This sums up to 1,350,000 eligible voters for the period 2021, 2022, and 2023. This projection by the Statistical Service has aided our planning and our procurement. For the purpose of this registration, however, we are targeting roughly 700,000 voters. That is 52% of the registrable population, bearing in mind that not all who attain the age of 18 years will participate in this exercise. We are confident that with the long-term continuous registration in all our district offices, coupled with a limited mop-up exercise in difficult-to-reach areas in 2024, we will have all eligible voters who are desirous to register as voters on board ahead of the 2024 general election. Ladies and gentlemen, while we are doing everything in our power to capture every eligible voters, we are doing everything in our power to ensure that ineligible voters do not get onto our register. We are reliably informed about attempts by some persons to get minors on the register. And we encourage the citizens who observe these illegal practices to challenge them. We have a recourse in the law that allows citizens who qualify to vote, who qualify to register as voters, to challenge anyone who in their view is a minor or a foreigner. Additionally, we have charged our district electoral officers who are serving as registration officers to challenge the registration of these minors and foreigners. We expect that with their effective supervision and leadership, there will be no minors or foreigners on our electoral roll. We have received reports of the arrest of the youth organizer of one of the political parties in the Shai Osudoku constituency. It is alleged that he was facilitating the registration of minors. We are also aware of other cases of attempts by other persons who should know better to register minors. It is for this very reason that we felt it necessary to limit the documentation for identifying a person's citizenship and age to the Ghana card. Indeed, our experience with the 2020 registration exercise revealed attempts by minors and foreigners to illegally get on our roll. And it took a great deal of time, effort, and money to expunge them from our register. In all, we succeeded in deleting the details of 15,000 persons from our register. Our proposal to use the Ghana card as the sole document for identification for registration purposes is simply to guarantee and protect the integrity and credibility of the register. It is not to disenfranchise any eligible voter as is being alleged. The current attempts by sections of society to register minors strongly supports our proposal for the use of the Ghana card as the only document to verify and attest to a person's citizenship and age. Similarly, what we see gives credence to why our proposal was resisted. We use this opportunity to caution guarantors to refrain from guaranteeing for minors and non-citizens. In the past, they got away with it. This time, we intend to compile a list of defaulting guarantors and bring them up for prosecution. On a personal note, ladies and gentlemen, I've seen a video circulating in which the author states that as Executive Director of the Institute of Economic Affairs, the IEA, I called on the Electoral Commission to expand the registration centers during the 2016 voters registration exercise ahead of the 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections. I categorically state that I said so, but I did so in a constructive manner, devoid of attacks, insults, and falsehood. We will recall that in the lead up to the 2016 election, the Commission at the time undertook voter registration in its district offices throughout the country. This was conducted in a year of a general election, that is a presidential and parliamentary election. And now the difference here is this. The current exercise being conducted in the 268 district offices is not being undertaken in a year of a general election. Hence my call to the Electoral Commission in 2016 to expand the scope of the registration. That is not to say that the district level election is not important. It is. However, as mentioned, our budget and work plan for 2023, which Parliament approved, was based on a long-term continuous registration and not registration on electoral area basis. I place on record that our plan for 2024 is not the same and will not be the same as what is being carried out today. Neither will it be the same as what happened in 2016. I'd like to take this again. I mentioned that the 2023 DLEs are important to us. Indeed, they are important elections indeed. However, as mentioned earlier, our budget and work plan for 2023, which Parliament approved, was based on a long-term continuous registration and not registration on electoral area basis. I place on record that in 2024, our plan will not be the same as what is being undertaken today. Neither will it be the same as what occurred in 2016. In the lead up to the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, we will roll out a continuous registration of voters for several months in the district offices. Additionally, we will undertake a mop-up exercise in selected electoral areas, particularly in areas that have difficulty in accessing our district offices. And so you see that the registration exercise planned for 2024 is different, or will be different, from what was conducted in 2016. What is baffling is that the very same people who are accusing us of trying to disenfranchise eligible voters were silent in 2016 when the Commission instituted registration in the district offices ahead of the presidential and parliamentary election. I take this opportunity to urge the good citizens of Ghana not to believe everything they hear. The allegations being made against us, including accusations of our working to disenfranchise eligible voters, to sending faulty kits to the stronghold of a specific political party, are false. A number of districts reported having faulty kits on the first 2 days. These kits were not located only in the stronghold of a political party, of a particular political party, and the evidence is there for all to verify. The only region that did not report any faulty kits is the Savannah region. All other regions had faulty kits which were swiftly replaced. As mentioned earlier, the faulty kits in the Tamale metropolis were replaced immediately to enable a smooth registration of voters. As a result of the backlog from the first day, and based on my discussions with the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, we set up 2 additional registration centers to cater for the teeming crowds. In all, the Tamale Metro Office has 4 registration stations, and this has helped to ease up the long queues and traffic. As a commission, we remain open to constructive dialogue and call on our stakeholders, particularly the leadership of political parties, to engage with us to ensure a successful exercise. I wish to emphasize that in 2024, once again, the Commission will undertake a continuous registration in all districts for a sustained period. And we are looking at some 5 to 6 months of continuous registration. Additionally, a mop-up exercise will be held in selected areas where it is difficult to access our offices. As a Commission, we remain committed to ensuring that every eligible voter who is desirous to get on our roll can do so without hindrance. and we will work within our mandate to ensure that this happens. I'll now turn my attention, ladies and gentlemen, to the statistics of the voters' registration exercise so far. At the end of 6 days, we have recorded a total of 182,831 registered voters, and I'd like to provide the breakdown. So I think I'll start with Western Region. Out of the 182,831 registered voters as at day 6, Western Region recorded 11,644, representing 6.4% of the total registered to date. Western North registered 6,491, representing 3.6% of the total registered to date. Central Region has registered 17,590, representing 9.6%. Greater Accra Region has registered 27,264, representing 14.9%. Volta Region has registered 12,681, representing 6.9%. OT Region has registered 4,427, registering 2.4%. Eastern Region has registered 19,327, representing 10.6%. Ashanti Region has registered 29,255, registering 16%. Bono Region has registered 6,580, representing 3.6%. Ahafo Region has registered 4,519, registering 2.5%. Bono East has registered 7,291, registering 4.0%. Savannah Region has registered 4,655, representing 2.5%. Northern Region has registered 12,982, registering 7.1%. Northeast has registered 4,244, representing 2.3%. Upper East has registered 8,639, representing 4.7%. Upper West has registered 5,241, representing 2.9%. And it gives us a national total of 182,831. Interestingly, we see a pattern of more males registering than females. And so at the end of day 6, 53.9% of males had registered as against 46.1% females. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your time and your attention. And the Commission is ready and available to take any questions that you may have. We look forward to briefing you in the coming days and to providing, I think, the infographs of the various, depicting the data across the regions would be shared on our WhatsApp platform and our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and on our website to enable the citizens follow through. And we'll be coming back to you periodically, on this platform to provide you updates of how things are proceeding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. You agree with me, the update has been very detailed, comprehensive. I think Madam deserves another round of applause. It's the time for the questions. So 2 rounds of persons. Please move this way. Move this way, not pass here. So we take it here. 2 rounds of persons. The first round, take a number, and then move to the second. And that'll be over the day. So we'll start with you. You identify yourself and your person.
Thank you very much. My name is William Gate. I report for Mensa. You did indicate in your presentation that the current budget you are working with now is not the same as what was approved for you for 2004 registration.
No such thing. No such thing.
2024 elections.
No such thing. But go on.
Okay. My question is that many have accused you of operating under financial constraints. Will you agree to that accusations or that saying?
Is that an accusation?
Assertion. Okay.
My name is Ibu Asante. I work in Joy. So, Madam, I have this story from my Joy Online and Graphic Online. And I quote, this is Madam Mensa speaking. Yesterday, we were served with an application for interlocutory injunction seeking to restrain the Commission from supervising the conduct. Gentlemen, in order that we are not cited for contempt, the Commission has taken the decision not to supervise the conduct of the presidential and parliamentary elections until the determination of the case by court. This is on the NBC primaries. An 18-year-old called Aita Precious sued the Electoral Commission and applied for an interlocutory injunction. There's an affidavit of service, and the bailiff, Ahmed Ansa, confirms that she served the Commission on the 8th, and that it was received by the head of legal here, one Mr. Daniel. The EC still proceeded to start the registration exercise despite the pendency of this application. How do you speak?
Let's do the third one.
My name is Kobe Kindaso. I report for G1 Television. Right, so a visit to your former headquarters showed that about 4 or 5 constituencies have been clustered there. And the place is true.
Where?
Your former headquarters. 4 or 5 constituencies, namely Aso, West Morgan, Aso, East, North, Central, and then Kotik one itself. The registration is supposed to be held at district offices of various constituencies. How will you explain this classroom? And then secondly, we realize that at that very center, no arrangement is made for persons with disability. What arrangements have been made for persons with disability with this exercise? Thank you.
Okay, you ask one person at a time for per person.
My name is Hansen Agaman. I work with CTFM CTTV. So it appears the Commission is happy with the work it's done so far. Former President John Mahama on Friday visited the headquarters. He, to a large extent, again acknowledged the huge numbers. But he says it goes to the point that when you limit the verification for registration to the Ghana card, then you won't get these numbers. And so if the Commission in 8 days needs a reason to move away from the idea of using the Ghana card as a sole document for registration, this limited voter registration should be the evidence to the EC.
Let's take the last one on this round.
My name is Eric. I work with TV3. I'll just add a bit more to Kweku Asante's question about the interlocutory injunction. The council says that contempt application was served on the EC's lawyers on Friday as well, seeking to halt the ongoing registration process. And so how does the EC respond to that? That's just an add-on. And you've raised an important point as to why all of the things that we've seen, particularly with registering of minors, gives credence to the Electoral Commission's quest to use the Ghana card as a sole identifier. The National Identification Authority for some time has been making the case and making it quite strongly that its database is ready for the Electoral Commission to latch onto. If the Ghana card is the prerequisite to eliminating all of these, what is preventing the Electoral Commission from using the database? We spoke to Professor Atifa, who's repeated the same narrative.
Thank you very much. for your questions. And I think I'll start with the last gentleman who asked why we are not using the database from the NIA. And I think it's very simple. The database is not done, the registration for the national identification card was not done on polling station basis. I think we all know that anywhere you found yourself in the country, you could register for the Ghana card. However, the EC voter card is done on polling station basis. It drills down to a person's polling station. And so it enables the commission to know the number of registrants in each polling station and plan adequately for them. You are well aware that at the point of voting, we have what we call the biometric verification devices, and we feed in every person's details from that particular polling station in the kits. And so when you come to vote, your biometrics are verified. Your fingerprints and your face is verified. We are not able to do this with the Ghana card because, as I mentioned, the Ghana card is not done on polling station basis, which is unfortunate because I believe in the planning of these things, we should have been able to jaw and come to that discussion that let us do the Ghana card on polling station basis. So unfortunately, that has not been done. And if I found myself in the northern region visiting a family member, I could get a Ghana card there. It's not tied to polling stations. So the EC is unable to use the Ghana card for registration purposes because it does not allow us to plan. It does not allow you to be able to know who is in this polling station, to put their biometric details on the verification device, and also to provide materials to cover that registration. And that is what it is. And it is, again, a lack of planning. If that had been done, then we could have had a very seamless process, and it would have been easy to use the Ghana card for registration purposes. I think you talked about service on the commission on the 8th of September. Friday, the 8th of September. To the best of my knowledge, we do not have anybody in our legal department called Daniel. Neither is the head of our legal called Daniel. There is no person called Daniel in our legal department. And as we speak, the commission did not become privy to that documentation or that service, that writ until Wednesday, because on Monday, the commission was on the field, and on Tuesday, we were on the field, and it was only Wednesday after the exercise that we became privy to that service. So I'm sorry to say that per the record of this bailiff, there's no person called Daniel in our legal department. Neither is the head of our legal department called Daniel, unless I don't know that he has another name, another first name. But I know him as Emmanuel. I don't know. Do you have another name? And so we've known for a long time that we had registration. Why wait till a day before the exercise to serve on a Friday when there's a lot of field activity going on? And as a commission, when documentation is brought in, it goes through steps, a recording process. And so sometimes it does not end up on the desk of commissioners for some 2-3 days. And so we'd like to state that it was after the start of the registration that we became privy to the injunction that had been served upon us. Again, I think you talked about the old office, and as you know, it was a complex that we occupied as the head office until recently. And when we moved, we felt it prudent in our bid to save some money for the taxpayer to provide office space for, I think, 5 of our district offices who were perching in places that were not convenient and comfortable. And so rather than go and rent spaces for them to occupy, we thought it wise, because we have that big, huge edifice there, to provide them with, accommodation in those offices, and those are districts in the Greater Accra region. And so that was the rationale. It's not just to cluster it, and it was not done for the registration. It's a huge edifice with 3 big structures. And rather than have them sit and go waste, we thought that it was better to have, some of our district offices which had difficulties with accommodation and were perching in most cases, to occupy these with ease. It is well known that when you have registration, the first few days you have traffic. This is not uncommon. And I recall that even in 2020, when we had registration on the polling station basis, you have traffic. The whole idea is to build efficiency into your process. And so realizing that the exercise was highly participatory, we increased the number of registration stations in most of the places. Indeed, we've had consistent engagement with our officers on the field, and they come back to us, they say, we have a lot of traffic here, we have long queues here, and so we immediately give approval for new registration stations to be added on. And so that's how we do it. But having traffic is not an issue. This is what it should be, but we should be efficient to provide registration stations to manage the queues, to ensure the swift conduct of the registration, and to ensure that people who come through are taken care of swiftly. And so that is what we have done, and we continue to do that. Even as we speak, we get requests from the field about the need for additional registration stations, and approval is being given to that effect. Indeed, as we speak on a daily basis, registration kits are being sent to the various offices to cater for the additional registration centers. So that is how we intend to answer that. It may be that there may have been traffic because you have 4 or 5, but as I said, we moved in a swift manner to cater for the traffic, to ensure a swift registration of voters. I think you talked about the current budget. As we speak, we are referring to the 2023 budget. We have not presented formally our budget for 2024. And what I indicated is that if you look at our 2023 budget and our work plan, which goes side by side with the budget, we made provision for continuous registration. We did not make provision for registration on an electoral area basis. And so it is impossible for us to go when your budget has been approved by Parliament and your work plan has been approved by Parliament to decide down the line when monies have been earmarked for your activity to go doing electoral area registration. I did mention, young man, my friend from Peace, that we discussed these budgets extensively with Parliament, with the Special Budget Committee of Parliament, and before we get approval for these budgets. And in 2023, that was done. In 2023, that was done.
Centers, persons with disabilities and pregnant women and the elderly, they are not supposed to queue. As soon as they get there, they are supposed to introduce themselves to the registration officials, and they are always attended to. And so far, we haven't received any reports to the contrary that they've not been attended to. Thank you very much.
Okay. Shall we
on the issue of the disability.
No, the Ghana.
Yes,
I'll come to that. I'll come to that.
Our biometric verification kits, if you go to most of the centers, they are downstairs. I hope you get me. So if you are talking about areas where they cannot actually access because they are in higher buildings, most of the
registration centers are downstairs, and the physically challenged can access to those areas. Thank you.
I think the Ghana card, I think you raised the question about, the assertion that the use of the guarantor system is what has ensured the long queues in the registration center. So why are we complaining about the long queues then? Because it's good for us, isn't it? If the guarantor system allows everybody to come, then we should not be complaining about long queues. It's good for us. But we hear complaints about long queues. But, I mean, really, as a commission, we don't think so. We are mindful of the fact that the National Identification Authority had some budgetary constraints and they were not able to, register. They have not been able to register for a while. But we are also mindful and we are also well aware that over the last 2 weeks, they've kick-started their activities in the districts and they are registering persons who have turned, I think, 15 years above in the districts. So I do not believe, and so the cards are available. The cards are available. And so if you can come to the commission with a guarantor in a district, you can go visit the commission's district office with a guarantor. So should you be able to visit the NIA district office to get your Ghana card. And I believe that I believe you've all taken note of, some of the newspaper articles, pinpointing to the registration of minors. Is this what we really want as a country? Do we want to have foreigners on our roll? Why can't we go to the United States of America and go and register? And if we cannot, why should we allow foreigners and minors to get onto our roll? And so we need to really be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. In addition to that, Parliament has passed an LI 2111, indicating that in the event of identification for any transaction, the Ghana card should be the document that is used. So why are we not using it? So we don't believe for any reason that the long queues we see in our district office is as a result of the guarantor system being applied. Because if you can go to the district office with a guarantor, 2 guarantors, so should you be able to visit NIA's district office and get your card. Thank you.
Let's have the second round and last round of questions. Yes.
My name is Julius. I report from the Mensa. Madam, in your presentation, you repeatedly said this is not going to be the final exercise before 2024. Meanwhile, per your statutes or by the law process establishes, you are supposed to expand the frontiers of the electoral process for people to have access to register. It doesn't matter if it's the general elections or the district assembly elections. But you kept mentioning this is not going to be the last one. Meaning, if you miss this bus, then you can join the other one. Meanwhile, every election is supposed to be as important as the other one. And some also have argued that because you haven't done this registration exercise in 3 years, you have a backlog. So if you had done this in all these 3 years, you could have people who turn 18 over the period register. But you have this backlog, and they are all supposed to congregate at a district police, as a district office, and have this done within 21 days. First thing, so the question is, are you prioritizing the 2024 presidential elections over and above the district elections? Thank you.
But to your friend, someone here in TV Africa. As I said, number kind of already register now. What can I say? 182,000 people. So in case, that was not your target now target, it's me,
this will be a Kawan, I said, this one.
It's okay. So let's take these questions.
You can meet us in chambers. But I think that that we are not targeting and prioritizing the district level elections, the general elections over the district level elections. Far be it. Because the district level election even involves, a considerable amount of effort to come through. And so we are not prioritizing the general election over the district level election. What I mentioned was that the CI that we have before Parliament, we were hoping that we could have a very long-term registration in this year. And we were looking at 5 to 6 months. And we were of the view that that provides enough time. 5 to 6 months. The likelihood of a person visiting their district in the 5 to 6 months is high to transact business. And mind you, the district is the lowest level of governance, and you have the health post there, the NIA there, the education center there. So the likelihood that in the 5 to 6 months, a person would visit the district is high. And so we are hoping that that provides some ease. It is not limited, and a person within that time should find it possible to visit the centers to get registered. And this was the expectation of the Commission. And it was in that spirit that, the budget was prepared, our work plan was prepared. Unfortunately, we were not able to do it. But because of the importance we place on the DLE, we still thought it necessary to quickly, put in place some registration at the district level to enable first-time voters to get on board if they so wish to vote in the DLE. So it is not to say that we prioritize the general elections over the DLEs at all. And then on the question of target, surely we believe that if we are unable to reach our target at the end of the exercise, we will go back to the drawing board. As I have said, we are a hands-on commission. We are on the ground, and we are not sitting far away from the ground. We are there on a daily basis. We are there, we are working on the ground, we receive updates. So if it becomes necessary to extend the days, the Commission would do so to ensure that those who have not been able to get on board would do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of this first briefing. Thank you for your patience and your time. We want to take the closing prayer, and we'll ask Mr. Mayor someone to do that for us. Thank you.
Shall we?
Thank you.